to Arsenal. Lots of criticism for different teams for playing the kids. Looks like Mikel Arteta got it right on Monday.
Yeah, and again, I think you've got the quality of the younger players, particularly Martinelli at the moment for me is a real standout player for Arsenal. And it's an opportunity, I think, when a team's in transition, as you could call it, to give those younger players an opportunity to really make a name for themselves. You know, they've got a couple of signings that they brought in the summer, particularly Tierney, the left back, who hasn't played much, but I think he'll get more opportunities if he can keep his fitness. And I like the young players. I think that you're seeing these players now coming in, and they're technically really gifted. Physically, they're able to cope with the pace of the Premier League. So it's good. It's good to see.
As a goal scorer yourself, Kevin, have you seen enough in Martinelli that if you can keep Aubameyang till the summer, you let Aubameyang go in the summer with a year left on his deal, get some money for him?
It's a difficult one in my opinion, because I think Aubameyang is a fantastic.
He's proven. He's proven.
Possibly because only if you can keep Lacazette. We were talking off air. I think Lacazette is a fantastic player, great striker. But yeah, from what I've seen, Martinelli, he's only going to get better and better and better. He's got everything, as he's quick, he's strong.
So could his form between now and the end of the season be a contributory factor in whether Aubameyang stays or goes?
I think it's down to Aubameyang, the player himself, whether he wants to stay or whether he wants to go. And that will be it. You know, nowadays players, they make the decision themselves. It doesn't matter if anyone's pushing them. Martinelli can only keep doing what he's doing and keep progressing and getting better. Aubameyang will make that decision himself. And
he's got a long way to go, Martinelli, I think, before he's in Aubameyang's sort of league. And that player needs that development. He needs to play a series of games, then come out the team maybe for a few. He can't be relied on at his age, with his lack of experience, to be somebody that I think Arteta can go to every week.
It kind of reminds me a little bit what you're saying about James at United. Started like a house on fire, dipped. He probably needs to be brought out the team. And that might happen to Martinelli from now to the end of the season. He might have a little dip in form, but at the minute, you know, he's almost getting one of those players where Arteta will say he's a first name on the team sheet. And that, for such a young player and where he was, 12 months ago, is credit to the player himself.
I always think that for a young player, they come into a team with no expectation. They don't know what they're going into, so they play just on complete energy, like a firecracker, and play. And then after 3 or 4 games in a row, if you manage to deliver good performances, there's suddenly that point where you go, actually, I've got to play like that again this week. And then all of a sudden, your whole mindset changes, and you've got an expectation that you put on yourself. And it's virtually impossible to sustain. I think every young player will have a bit of a dip, and they've just got to get themselves through that to then start, developing again.
I mean, I'm thinking Nketiah, Martinelli, Saka, Joe Willock. There's a good selection of youngsters at Arsenal for Mikel Arteta to dip into that pot, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think if you're, if there is one positive to having an average season, it means you have the opportunity to really give these players a chance to experience. And until they get that opportunity, you never know what their potential is. Some players, their development really charges on once they get into the first team and start training regularly with the first team, and others will show a lot of potential, but then can't handle the environment, can't handle the pressure maybe. So it is a good opportunity for them, and I think he's going to use the rest of the season to really try and get these players up to the next level.
I think he's excited about the task ahead of him. Again, similar to Solskjaer, he'll be given time, because I think you can see the young crop of players, a bit like Frank at Chelsea. He's got a good crop of young players. Then can you get the balance, like Leicester, with the experienced players in and around? And of course, we all know defensively Arsenal will strengthen. I'm sure he'll look at that area in the summer and handpick his players and build them around this young crop of players. If Aubameyang's there, brilliant. If he's not, you've got your Martinelli, Nketiah, if he keeps improving. I think he's excited about the project moving forward for Arsenal.
I mean, you say Aubameyang, it'll be his decision if he stays or goes. But some Arsenal fans, and we've had one tweeting tonight, they're worried that they'll be in a situation like Ramsey, go now. I mean, buying a proven goal scorer in the January window is always difficult.
Yeah.
So I don't think there'll be a shortage of buyers. Try and get top money, say 60, 75, something like that from now, and get a couple of defenders in.
Possibly.
If you've got Lacazette, if you've got Martinelli, if you've got those players
Pepe
there.
as well.
Pepe. Who's, yeah.
Nketiah.
Yeah, possibly, because you don't want the scenario, do you, of the contract running down and him picking, leaving on a free.
Let's be honest, Kevin, they did poor business for a number of seasons,
Yes.
didn't they?
Yeah, and you'd like to think they'd have learnt from that. Why not? You know, if that was me as a chair, if I got offered 60,
Right, you're in charge of Arsenal
yeah,
now, this January, and you were offered, say, 60, 70.
Yeah.
He's got the remainder of this season and next season. Would you say, let's do it?
I would say do it, just because they're not challenging for the title. They're not going to get relegated. It's in a transitional period. Take the money and strengthen in other areas. When you've got Lacazette, Pepe and Nketiah, you know, these young players, maybe look to add another.
Bring Sanchez back. That was a joke.
If you're Mikel Arteta, though, do you say, hang on, keep Oba as he's popularly known.
It's a tough one.
Keep Oba because his goals might just sneak us.
Yeah, I mean the thing is,
Europe.
18 months on your contract, the player's starting to get all the power. So he either signs a new deal. So I would say,
and it's going to be a hell of a deal.
There's
as well,
either a new
by the
contract or we've got to look to move you out. Whether
Is there a massive difference in his value with 18 months left and a year?
Well, I think he has more control of the situation at that point, doesn't he? He can sit there and say, well, look, I only need to get to the next January, and then I'm talking to other clubs and I leave on a free. So I mean, it depends on what's motivating him. Obviously, we don't know that, but there are different scenarios where players will be thinking, well, I'd rather see my contract out and go on a free, and feel that that's what success looks like to them.
Yeah.
Other players will say, look, you're not matching my ambitions at Arsenal. I want to go and win things. Therefore, a big club that is going to win things in Europe have come in for me. I need to go. So there's different scenarios that obviously the club are constantly sort of battling with. If he is desperate to leave and there's a club that wants to buy him, then I think they have to think about it now.
Yeah.